Hello everyone, welcome to Synthesis IAS Academy, a place where blend of ideas take place. About me, I am Sandeep Bhushan and my credentials are I have 10 years of teaching experience and I take up issue-based current affairs. And in regards to this session will certainly be helpful for you because throughout my session I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases, and these emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases will certainly help you all to identify the factual, analytical and conceptual questions which will be very useful for preliminary examination, as well as while you are imbibing the keywords and the key phrases in your answer writing. Certainly your answers would be precise and concise, and once it is precise and concise, you will certainly score more marks in the mains examination. So thereby my session will certainly help you for the mains 2020 and prelims and mains 2021. So for today's topic it is India's role in Afghanistan reconciliation. So we will focus in regards to the topic, that is issue based topics, role of India in Afghanistan reconciliation. So when we are talking about the Afghanistan reconciliation, that is reuniting or reunion of Afghanistan, and what is the role of India in reuniting and reunion of Afghanistan. So pertaining to the topic or the issue based of Afghanistan reconciliation, we will also focus in regards to the subtopics, that is Afghan peace, US pact or US is happy for India's role in Afghanistan, and what is the India's stand and India's narrative in Afghanistan, that various developments what India has taken up in Afghanistan, and India's goodwill at Halos. Halos is sacred, and we will also look at the way forward and the conclusion of the entire issue based topic in regards to the Afghanistan reconciliation, that is India's role and relevance in Afghanistan reconciliation. So first we will focus at the Afghan peace. So when we are focusing at the Afghan peace, first we will go to the April 2020. We will focus at what has happened recent past, that is on April 2020. So in the month of April 2020, United Nations Secretariat has held a meeting, and that meeting was called as 6+2+1 and 6+2+1 group, and this was an effort. This 6+2+1 meeting which was taken up by the United Nations Secretariat was an effort, that is the regional effort. Please do understand here keyword, this is the regional effort to support peace in Afghanistan. Peace in Afghanistan. And when we are talking about the 6+2+1, that means these are the countries which were together, which was taken up by the United Nations Secretariat to have a regional efforts to make sure that there is peace restored back in Afghanistan. And then we will look at what are the 6 countries, that is the 6 neighboring countries of Afghanistan. 6 neighboring countries of Afghanistan, that is China, Iran, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. So these are the 6 neighboring countries which is called as 6, and the +2 are the global players, that is United States and Russia, and the 1 is Afghanistan itself. So this is the meeting or the group which was taken up, that is 6+2+1, in regards to having a regional efforts to re-emphasize bringing back the peace in Afghanistan by United Nations Secretariat. And why it is very important and why I have taken this as the first, the initial of the entire discussion is because in the 6+2+1, when I said that what is India's role in Afghanistan reconciliation, but if you look at the 6+2+1 grouping, you do not have mention of India itself, because it is the neighboring countries China, Iran, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan, and the global players, that is 2 United States and Russia, and 1 is Afghanistan itself. But you do not have mention of India, or India was not invited by the United Nations Secretariat. That is why I have taken the April 2026 plus 2 plus 1, and then I will go forward in regards to making sure that what is the role and relevance of India in Afghanistan reconciliation. So if you look at this 6 plus 2 plus 1, no doubt India was not included in a UN coordinated 6 plus 2 plus 1 group or the regional efforts which it has taken into consideration. But Afghan officials were not really happy the 6 plus 2 plus 1 group meeting which has taken place in the absence of India. And they have definitely spoken to the UN and US and various others also in regards to having or changing the 6 plus 2 plus 1 to 6 plus 4 groups. That means 8, 9 rather than 9 countries. Now they wanted 10 countries to be part of the group so that there could be the peace process which would take up and the peace process for the Afghanistan reconciliation. So Afghan officials are definitely pitching for India's entry into the 6 plus 2 plus 1, rather changing the 6 plus 2 plus 1 group to a broader one, that is 6 plus 4 formation. For what? For regional talks on Afghanistan, wherein they wanted to include India. And what did the United Nations Secretariat give the reason that why India was not included in the 6 plus 2 plus 1 group? Because it said that they have taken or considered the countries which are bordering Afghanistan, and they say that India does not border with Afghanistan. Why? Because India says it is bordering Afghanistan, but United Nations Secretariat says India does not border with Afghanistan because the Gilgit and Baltistan area is a disputed land, is Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and it is not an integral part of India. That is what United Nations Secretariat has taken into consideration, and it said that India does not border with Afghanistan, and United Nations Secretariat has invited the countries which are bordering Afghanistan, and that was really not liked by many of the Afghan officials. And in December 2001, now we'll go back from 2020 to 2001. So in the year 2001, an Indian team which was led by a special envoy, that is Satyendra Lamba, he has arrived in Germany, that is in Petersburg, that was in a hotel near Bonn, and there was an agreement which was negotiated in regards to the Afghanistan, that is called as, famously it is called as Bonn Agreement. It was negotiated, but Indians did not find any reservation in the hotel, Petersburg hotel near Bonn, and this had been made for them the official venue, wherein the official venue where it has taken up in Petersburg in 2001, Indian team which was led by the special envoy Satyendra Lamba did not find any reservation in the hotel. And again in 2010, if you look at, India was invited for the London conference. So we are looking at the various conference or agreement in the past, almost 2 decades back, how India was treated or India was actually invited and been part of the entire discussion or the agreements or conference. So in 2001, there was a conference in London that is called as London Conference in regards to the Afghanistan, but India left out of the room during a crucial meeting that decided on opening talks with Taliban. So when the talks were in regards to Taliban's, India did not like it and it left the room. That is the London conference in the year 2010. So definitely we are definitely going back to the what has happened in the past when Indian team has arrived in Pittsburgh, in Bonn, and then later on when it was part of the London conference, but when the crucial meeting has decided that the opening talks will be done with the Taliban, so India did not like it and it left out of the room. And after the 2010 conference, New Delhi redoubled its effort with Kabul, that is in the year 2011. The then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and then the President of Afghanistan Ahmad Karzai has signed an historic agreement, that is called as strategic partnership agreement. So we are focusing on the bond agreement between India and wherein the discussion was in regards to the Afghanistan, and then London conference, and then wherein India did have a very good relations and it wanted to have a better coordinated efforts and bilateral relations with Afghanistan under the Prime Ministership of Manmohan Singh, and from Afghanistan Hamid Karzai. They have signed an agreement called as Strategic Partnership Agreement, and this is the first such agreement with any country Afghanistan has gone ahead, and that was with India. So Strategic Partnership Agreement between India and Afghanistan was signed in the year 2011. So this is important. The bond agreement, London conference, and strategic partnership agreement between India and Afghanistan. And on April 16, 2020, India was conspicuous. That means it was very visible and noticeable that India was not part of the entire, or else the 6+2+1 group meeting which has taken place, and its historical strategic ties what India has with Afghanistan was very much felt that Afghanistan officials wanted India's presence in the regional talks to be taken up. And in 2020, the reason what I have said that the United Nations Secretariat has kept India out of the regional discussion was that it said that India does not hold any boundary or no boundary with Afghanistan. And now we look at that. We know that US and Taliban peace deal has been brokered, and the US and Taliban peace deal which has been brokered by US President Donald Trump definitely is not moving in a positive direction because of various reasons, that is in regards to the release of prisoners or else release of Talibans from the Afghanistan prison or the government, and then the release of Afghan soldiers from the Taliban side. So there is definitely not a much coordinated effort has been taken up between the Taliban and the Afghanistan government or the Afghanistan security personnel. So thereby the US Taliban peace deal is not really been a constructive one, and in that background US wanted India's role in the constructive contribution to Pakistan. So thereby you had a US special representative for Afghanistan reconciliation. So a special or US special representative for Afghan reconciliation was appointed, and he is Zalmay Khalilzad, and he has met the External Affairs Minister of India, that is S. Jaishankar, and along with the External Affairs Minister he also met the National Security Advisor of India, that is Ajit Doval, and he has discussed at length and he has briefed on the progress of the peace process which was brokered between US and Taliban had actually faltered, and in this regards they wanted the peace process to actually make sure that it moves ahead or it is moving ahead constructively, and for that they wanted India's contribution, that is US pat for India's role in Afghanistan. So what I was talking about, the role of India in Afghanistan reconciliation. Yes, India does have a different mindset or different way or strategic approach towards Afghanistan, but US has certainly a different strategic approach towards Afghanistan peace. So definitely both are not matching. So there is some kind of dichotomy between both of them that we need to come to a conclusion or a balanced approach wherein India can also be part of the peace process in Afghanistan reconciliation. And then now it is the time for India to make sure that it also takes a lead, global lead in regards to having peace restored back in Afghanistan. And the US side recognizes India's constructive contribution. So definitely India has gone ahead with various constructive contribution in Afghanistan, not just because the US and Taliban peace deal has been broken. No, India has been going ahead with various constructive contribution in Afghanistan, that is economic development, reconstruction, and then even in regards to the humanitarian assistance being provided to Afghanistan people also. So definitely these kind of constructive contribution by India has been recognized very positively by the US. And the US has also led importance of India's crucial continuing role, and India is going ahead with a continuous constructive contribution in Afghanistan. Even that is also been taken up, and it has been recognized and appreciated by US. That is in regards to the sustainable peace in Afghanistan, security and stability in Afghanistan. So these are the constructive contribution which India is continuously going ahead, or it is make sure that India has a crucial continuous role in various constructive contributions. So when India is going ahead with various constructive contribution, so US is making it very clear that why don't India join? Why don't India have its role and relevance in Afghanistan reconciliation and be part of the US Taliban peace process to make sure that the peace is restored back in Afghanistan? That is why US or Donald Trump is very particularly called upon, and then he has sent the US Special Representative for Afghanistan reconciliation, that is Zalmay Khalilzad, to have discussions and brief the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, so that India would have a greater role in Afghanistan reconciliation. And the Zalmay Khalilzad trip also builds support for the full implementation of the US Taliban agreement, that is US Taliban peace deal, which has been brokered, so that it will not be derailed because of the differences which are now existing in Afghanistan between the Afghanistan government and the Taliban in regards to the issue, that is the release of prisoners from both the sides, that is the Taliban's as a prisoners in the Afghanistan government or Afghanistan security soldiers forces or Afghanistan government, and the Afghanistan soldiers as the prisoners in the Taliban's side. So definitely the constructive contribution and a continuous constructive contribution from India into Afghanistan is very, very important. And please do, I would re-emphasize here, economic development taken up by India, reconstruction, humanitarian assistance, and then striving continuously for sustainable peace, security and stability in India. So thereby India can certainly play a major role, and it can emphasize and it can show that India's relevance is certainly necessary in Afghanistan reconciliation. And now we will look at what is India's stand or New Delhi's stand. Definitely India's resistance to publicly talking to Taliban. So India doesn't really want to have a discussions or talk with the Talibans, because always India is in the mindset, and India is very clear about the talks and terror cannot go together. And India says that we will certainly have talks with the government, which is the one which is actually in the power, but not with the one which is not in power or which is running a parallel government which is not recognized democratically. So with that, they will not, India will never have a public talk with those. And here in regards to this, the India stand in regards to Taliban, it is resisting. It doesn't want to have a talk with the Taliban, and this is making awkward to the interlocutor at any table. Fine. So the one who is playing a special US special representative for Afghanistan reconciliation also, they are making or they are finding it difficult that there is a peace which would be definitely coming out as an outcome. No, there is not. And India says that, or India's position is that it would certainly talk only with the Afghan-led, Afghan-owned and Afghan-controlled process, and only then it can be allowed principled manner. But what the way the India is going ahead, that is Afghan-led, Afghan-owned and Afghan-controlled. There are no takers for what kind of strategic approach what India is actually following. Is it is getting into that mode there are no takers. That means many of the countries in the world do not or not in the mode that they would only talk with the Afghan led, Afghan owned or Afghan controlled. There are various countries, even if it is in regards to Russia or Iran or even in regards to the US, they are not just wanting to talk with the government of the day which is democratically elected. They would wish to talk even with the Taliban so that there could be peace restored. So they would wish to talk with the Taliban and also with the Afghan led government. But India says only Afghan led, Afghan owned, Afghan controlled, and for that there are no takers. There are no takers. And then New Delhi's decision is that they are putting all the eggs. That means they're at their approach is that they are putting everything in the Ashraf Ghani's basket, that is in regards to the Afghan led, Afghan owned, Afghan controlled only, and that reconciliation process certainly is a limited one and it is weakening India's position. Please do understand, a very conceptual understanding point I am discussing here, as India is betting only on Ashraf Ghani, the government of Afghanistan, thereby the reconciliation process in Afghanistan has become very limited, and because of this the gradual effect onto India is it is weakening India's position among other global leaders, and it is also there is a deepening divide in regards to the democratic setup in Kabul itself, that is in Afghanistan itself, because definitely there is a rift between Ashraf Ghani and the Abdullah also. So what we need to do is we need to have certainly a balanced approach between Afghanistan led, Afghanistan owned and Afghanistan controlled and Taliban's, and also within the government also the drift or the rift what is being created, democratic setup in Kabul also, that is between Ashraf Ghani and Abdullah also has to be resolved, and then India should also look at having a discussion or the talks with Taliban's also. And India's presence inside Afghanistan is very painstakingly, because it has been since 2009 and it is being threatened by various terror groups, such as the new ones such as Islamic State Khorasan province. So this is a new Islamic or the terror group which has actually come into the existence gradually after the ISIS has been successfully pushed out of Iran and Syria or Iraq and Syria, and now that group is now slowly trying to have its sway even in Afghanistan by the name called as Islamic State Khorasan province, which is believed to be backed by Pakistan. So definitely there is a threat to India also, and then India's diplomatic strength in Afghanistan should not appear in the retreat, that is withdrawal, when it is needed the most. So India's diplomatic strength is at this moment the need of the hour for Afghanistan. So when it is at the need of the hour, India's diplomatic strength has to not retreat, it should not departure, it should not withdraw itself, but rather get into or involved in the peace process and make sure that the diplomatic strength or the diplomatic relation and the ties what India and Afghanistan have historically and culturally also has to be moved forward and should be strengthened. That is, strategic partnership has to be strengthened diplomatically also, so that it is a need of the hour for India as well as Afghanistan. And India has reiterated its continued support in strengthening the peace, security, unity, democratic and also for inclusive polity and protection of all the rights of the various sections in Afghanistan society, including the minority Hindus and Sikhs in Afghanistan. So this was all the constructive continuous development which India has taken up. So at this junction, when India has done a lot to Afghanistan, it should not retreat at this junction. Rather, it should make sure that it is following a path wherein it can talk to the government, Afghanistan government, as well as the Talibans. And we will also focus at what is India's narrative in Afghanistan. So if you look at the narrative of Afghanistan, yes, we do have historical and cultural links between India and Afghanistan, and thereby it is a very strong relationship between India and Afghanistan. And as we have seen in 2011, India and Afghanistan has signed the strategic partnership agreement for the first time. And then again in the year 2017, it was a second strategic partnership council meeting which has been held in New Delhi, and then the new relations or the strengthening of the relation have taken up between India and Afghanistan in regards to the strategic partnership agreement. And not only that, India has also gone ahead with implementing or providing lot of infrastructure development in various projects in Afghanistan, that is Shatu Dam and also the drinking water project in Kabul, which would facilitate irrigation water supply for the entire Charika city. So definitely India is supporting in the various projects, that is dams and also drinking water projects. So it is been helpful for the people of Afghanistan. So when it is in regards to that, that means India has a very good relation and a strong relation with Afghanistan, wherein it is not just having a strategic partnership, but also it is funding various projects in Afghanistan. And India has also gone ahead with road connectivity, building, infrastructure development, that is road connectivity to Bande-e-Amir in Bamiyan province. So there you have a province in Afghanistan called as Bamiyan province. And while going ahead with the road connectivity or the infrastructure development, it will promote tourism and low cost housing for whom? For Afghan refugees who are in Nangarhar province, wherein it will promote the resettlement of the Afghan refugees from Nangarhar province to the Bamiyan province. Please you understand, from Nangarhar province to Bamiyan province, and it will promote the resettlement and also promote the tourism and low cost housing. So this is a very good initiative and part of the infrastructure development and road connectivity. And India has also been part of the three major projects, that is Afghanistan Parliament, and then in regards to the highway construction, that is from Zaranj and to Delaram highway, and the another one, that is the dam construction, that is Afghanistan India Friendship Dam, and it is also called as Salma Dam. So these are the three major projects which have been taken up by India as part of the constructive development in Afghanistan. And not only these three major projects, but India has also gone ahead with various development projects in regards to the schools construction, hospital and water projects. And India has cemented its position not just with the Afghanistan government, but in the Afghan hearts nationwide across the Afghanistan. Many of the citizens feel that India is the second home for Afghanistan. Many of the Afghan citizens feel that India is a second home for Afghan citizens. And India has assisted various projects in regards to $3 billion and also having trade about $1 billion and $20 billion have been projected for various development expenditure, which India has founded an alternative route to Afghanistan, skipping Pakistan, is Chabahar. That means India investing in the Chabahar port, investing in the port construction, that is the Chabahar port construction. So these are all the major investments or the constructive developments wherein India has taken up in Afghanistan. And if you look at this, the highway that is from Zaranj to Delaram, and not only this, you have the linking from Zaranj to Delaram to Kandahar, and from the Kandahar to Kabul, from Kabul to Mazar-e-Sharif. So you have this various connectivity again from Delaram to Herat you have, and from Zaranj you have the connectivity what India is going ahead with the Chabahar port construction. So from here Chabahar port, this is a port in the Iran. Chabahar port construction to Zaranj, and Zaranj to Kandahar, Kandahar to Kabul, Kabul to Mazar-e-Sharif, and then again from Dilaram to Herat, and entire this connectivity is called as Garland Road. Is called as Garland Road. So Garland Road is connecting Afghanistan to Chabahar port from Mazar-e-Sharif, of north of Afghanistan to south of Iran, that is the Chabahar port. And this is the Salma Dam, which is also called as Afghan-India Friendship Dam. So India has invested in the major projects, as we said, that is Zaranj to Dilaram, and then in Afghanistan Parliament, and then in regards to the Salma Dam, that is Afghan-India Friendship Dam. So if you look at, yes, not only in the Salma Dam, and then from the Zaranj to Dilaram, this highway which is of 218 kilometers, but it has also been very effective in regards to the parliament in Afghanistan at a cost of 75 million US dollars. And not only that, in regards to the electricity generation also in Pul-e-Kumri area, wherein they will have the transmission line from Pul-e-Kumri to Kabul. From Pul-e-Kumri to Kabul, they will have the linking, that is the line, transmission line, and India is also into that project also, which is costing 111 million US dollars. And in regards to the Salma Dam, it is 109.3 million US dollars, and the highway which is connecting Zaranj to Dilaram, which is 218 kilometers, is at a cost of 84 million US dollars. So this is in the Gulf of Oman, that is the Chabahar port to Zaranj, and then Zaranj to Dilaram. So this is, these are all the major projects wherein India is investing in Afghanistan. So definitely, not only that, India supports the Afghan National Army and also the bureaucrats and the doctors and various other professionals, and India trains the National Army, bureaucrats, doctors and professionals in India, and that is leading a position in regards to the Afghanistan regional formulation. So definitely India is also part of the Afghan reconciliation process, wherein India supports National Army of Afghanistan, bureaucrats, and then doctors and various professionals are being trained in India, and the ongoing programs which India also has announced, and it is part of it investments, is in education, capacity building, skills and human resource development in Afghanistan. And this is one of the largest programs in the world, and which is for a period of 5 years. Please do understand, this is one of the largest developments or the programs in the world, and it is for the period of 5 years from 2017 to 2022. And not only that, India is supporting or investing and then trade wise, but India has, it has Indian diaspora which is also engaged in various fields, that is as professionals in banks, IT firms, construction companies, hospitals, as NGOs, telecom companies, security companies, and various universities, and also the government of India sponsored projects, and also government of Afghanistan, and in the United Nations missions also. So thereby you have India's diaspora also in Afghanistan. So these are the various programs which India has taken up, so that it has a very historical and cultural and strategic partnership, which it is believed to be certainly making it that it is emphasizing and doubling its relations with Afghanistan. And now we will look at India's goodwill at Halos. Halos is at the sacred. Definitely the India's contribution is the building block to the goodwill of India's assistance in various projects like infrastructure projects, as we discussed, healthcare, education, trade and food security, as it is investing and India is assisting the Afghanistan. That is why it is sacred. It is a goodwill and it is the liberal access what India is towards the Afghans in regards to the Afghans to study, train and work in India. So these are all the various goodwill gestures put forth, it is by India towards Afghanistan, and various Afghanistan Muslim citizens treat India as a second home. And definitely they have been felt cut out of the move wherein we had this citizenship to only Afghan minorities recently. And India's pluralistic and inclusive democracy not only is a sacred and which is liked by the Afghanistan, but it inspires many countries in the world also. And now we will focus at the way forward, how India has to get into the mode. We have seen various constructive developmental activities which have been taken up by India in Afghanistan in various sectors: education, health, infrastructure, dam, and then in regards to the parliament construction. So when we have gone into that, how should India now react, and what is the way forward that India will have its role and relevance in Afghanistan reconciliation? And definitely India is not really happy the way it wanted to talk with Taliban and also with the government, and India is not happy when Taliban enters into the government, that is Afghanistan government in Kabul, as US and Taliban deal envisages. So as per US and Taliban deal, there is a possibility that the Taliban would be part of the Afghan government after the entire peace deal is actually at the ground level. But there is an opposing front collapse which has taken place in the year 1996. So now, even though if Taliban would be part of the government, that is Afghanistan government, how long it will have sustenance and how long it will move forward in a positive note, because we have seen it in the year 1996, that kind of scenario has taken a collapse method and it has been hit badly. So India must now pursue opportunistic to fulfill its role. So it has to go ahead with the situation what is prevailing and what is demanding at this moment, so that peace is restored back in Afghanistan. Afghan reconciliation for the process, it has to pursue opportunities to fulfill its role in the peace efforts in Afghanistan. That is, start bridging the efforts between the Ghani and Abdullah, which they have the divide, that is not good relations are there between Ashraf Ghani and Abdullah. So when there is a divide in the Afghanistan government itself, so certainly Taliban will take the advantage, and not only Taliban, Islamic State of Khorasan province, the new terror group which has been formed, also will take the advantage because of the divide in the government or divide in the Ashraf Ghani and Abdullah. So what India has to do is to make sure that it bridges the gap or the divide between Ashraf Ghani and Abdullah. And the other one is bringing together is very crucial, and then various other major leaders also should come together and India should also talk to them, for example Russia, Iran and also USA, so that they would have reconciliation process, and India's role and relevance has to be felt in the Afghanistan. When we are talking in the Afghanistan, certainly it is in the heart of Asia. So definitely heart of Asia. When Afghanistan is heart of Asia, it is strategically important. Afghanistan is strategically important, as it is important not only to US and Russia and Iran, it is also important to India, so that there is peace restored, security and being restored in Afghanistan, so that we can counter Pakistan by having a peace deal, or Afghanistan reconciliation, we can counter Pakistan. And the way the Pakistan is actually making sure that it is prompting terrorism, and an understanding between Iran and US on Afghanistan is necessary for lasting peace. So definitely India has to take an initiative and lead to talk to Russia, US, Iran and US also to make sure that it will bring back the peace in Afghanistan government, and India can play a mediatory part. Please do understand, this is what we were talking about, the issue based topic, that is the role and relevance of India in the Afghanistan reconciliation. So play a mediatory role, bridge the efforts between, or the gap or the divide between Ghani and Abdullah, talk to the various world leaders, that is US, Russia and Iran, and then play a major role as a mediatory, and then also the way it has been successfully taken up the Chabahar port, and it should also use the United Nations call. What call is that? Pause in conflict. So whatever the conflicts are being taken up in Afghanistan between Taliban and the Afghanistan government has to have a pause, temporary relief, because at the time of coronavirus pandemic situation, and there India can bargain some time so that it can hold hostilities, that is conflicts and aggression with Pakistan, and then make sure that the peace is also restored back in Afghanistan by India's role and relevance in Afghanistan reconciliation. And India's government should strive to endure its aid and assistance, that is at the time of the coronavirus pandemic situation. It should make sure that provide assistance, aid and assistance, not only to the capital cities, but to the areas wherein even the Talibans are also held. See, please do understand, this is what opportunistic, what India has to take up is opportunities, pursue opportunities, various opportunities to fulfill its role, pursue opportunities. See, one of the opportunities is now to provide or to strive to endure that it provides aid and assistance not only to the Afghanistan government but also to the areas wherein they are dominated by Talibans. And the conclusion is that the government of India should consider an appointment of a special envoy. This is very crucial. Not just the government or external affairs or the national security advisor talking on behalf of India in regards to the Afghanistan reconciliation, but India has to appoint a special envoy wherein it has done it in the past, so that the efforts in Afghanistan which are actually taken up diplomatically and firmness would create a watershed movement between India and Afghanistan, and in regards to the Afghanistan reconciliation wherein it has done it in the past, India has done it in the past, that will be an turning point or a historic moment, that it appoints a special envoy and then deal with the situation with Talibans and also talk to the Afghan governments while talking parallelly or in regards to simultaneously with the Talibans, and then make sure that diplomatically we are agile and we are also firm in regards to the purpose of the turning point or the historic moment wherein India can lead as a mediatory part or role or a country which can make sure that the heart of Asia is restored back to peace. So this is the conclusion. So I hope the entire session was informative, knowledgeable and very useful for the mains examination 2020, wherein it is in regards to the role and relevance of India in Afghanistan reconciliation. So I would say a very big thank you and a good luck to all, and then do like the video, share the video and subscribe the Synthesis IAS Academy, a place where blend of ideas do take place. So I would come up with a new issue based topic which will be certainly useful for mains 2020 and also prelims 2021. So thank you very much. I will come up with the new issue based current affairs.